Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, good Monday morning. Man, what a busy weekend it was. Man, there was so much to get to today on the JP Peterson Show, presented to you by the law firm of Christopher Palermo. Sorry, getting my coffee in the right space. Nick Geddes is here this morning from Outkick.com. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good. It is a Monday, a little dragon in the air a little this morning. It was an eventful day yesterday at the Valspar.
Wasn't it, though?
The sun got me. It got me. But had a great time. Had a great time and a good finish.
You had to leave early, huh?
I had to leave. You know,
family obligations.
I'm never leaving again for a family obligation. Never. I stayed for about an hour and got the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And then Casey's like, we left too early. And I'm like,
yeah.
We did.
The Valspar only, it doesn't happen every week. You guys got some great tickets. Perfect day yesterday. Oh my God. The weather was fantastic. The crowds were huge. It was a fun day. I got to walk with JT a little bit, some of the other players, get up close. And I just love golf tournaments. And the Valspar, they did it so right this year. I was out at the Hooters tent on Friday with the huge build out around 2 separate holes. I mean, it was just crazy fun.
Yeah, it was really good. I followed Brooks Koepka for about 8 holes yesterday. He had a pretty good crowd around him.
Yeah, he did.
I think he had the best day of anybody out there, not named Sam Burns.
Yeah, I think he had, what did he shoot, like 67 yesterday?
Yeah, I think he was 6 under. I don't think anybody else was even over 3.
6 under yesterday with the wind blowing the way it was. The wind was really blowing yesterday, and it was creating a lot of tough shots for these guys. But it came down to a playoff. Very exciting. Had 3 guys that had a chance to tie for the playoff. Neesmith on 18 barely grazed the hole, would have got in to the playoff, but it came down to Sam Burns and young Davis Riley, who, my God, does he hit the ball far. On number 11, he hit his drive about 360 yards, had about maybe a 6 iron in on a par 5. Made birdie there. Matt Kuchar holes out on number 11 right after I saw him literally dub a chip shot like I would do. I'd never seen a pro do that, especially not Matt Kuchar. I'm like, no way. But just incredible golf out there all weekend long. We got monumental trades for the Lightning since Friday. We got to talk about that. Bobby the Chief Taylor is going to join us to break down the trades. Matthew Joseph, who was out there at Valspar yesterday, probably got a phone call out on the I was checking my phone. I'm like, oh, didn't I just see Matthew Joseph? Hey, yo, just got traded, bro. As Julien Brisebois, it really beefs up this roster for the playoff run. Nick Paul, they bring in from Ottawa. Man, if you're Matthew Joseph and you're going from Tampa Bay to Ottawa,
guy's been riding around town. He's at every event.
Yeah.
Now you're stuck in lockdown city? I don't know.
Fans, yeah, right? Go. Imagine going from Tampa Bay to Ottawa.
And instead of playing in front of 19,250 or whatever it is every night, you're playing in front of, close, pretty close. Even in full capacity, it's like 8,000 people there that go to those games.
Oh,
that stinks.
That's got to suck.
It doesn't feel much better for Radish either. That has to go to Chicago.
No.
A little bit better.
Come on, the Blackhawks, but
Ottawa's bad.
Oh, dude, especially now with it. Oh, man. Sorry, Matthew. We love you, brother. Fans did not take that well, by the way.
No.
Fans did not take it well.
No. And, we'll get into it, I guess, a little later about the trade. But,
from a hockey standpoint, I like what Brisebois has done. I really do. Look, we've talked about this forever, and I still think it's something that the NHL needs to address, and I think they're getting closer to it. But you can't have your playoffs be a completely different game than your regular season. Baseball does it by spacing out the playoffs and allowing teams to only need 2 true starters. When the regular season, you need 5 or 6 to get through. You get to the postseason and you only need 2. That's stupid. That's dumb. Don't change fundamentally the way you play the game, which is what – and in hockey, they've been doing it for years. What's a penalty in the playoffs is not nearly what it is in a regular season. Regular season, you touch a guy's hands and the whistle's blowing. And why not just call it the same way in the playoffs? It's exciting stuff. And then when the playoffs come, it gets a little bogged down because you're calling anything and the players know it. So what is Brisebois doing now, and what has Brisebois done to win these back-to-back cups? He changes the makeup of the team to get bigger and more physical, and that's what Nick Paul is. He's 6'3", he's 225 pounds. He's a very versatile player. He wins faceoffs, which is something they desperately need. So you looked at all the deficiencies that the Lightning have had, and with Hagel and Paul, they've addressed them. They've given up a lot. They gave up Radish. They gave up Joseph. They gave up Kuchar. But for me, if you can get a guy like Hagel, if you said, out of the NFL norms, of 3 first-round picks or 2 first-round picks, to get a guy that can be a 30-goal scorer, a top 6 forward, it's when you're drafting 27th and 28th or 30, it's very hard to do. So for me, I'm kind of like with football. If you have a great roster, screw the draft picks. F the draft picks. Go get good players to keep yourself competitive.
There's 3 players on the Lightning right now who the Lightning took in the first round and are still on the roster. Steven Stamkos, Victor Hedman, and Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
We're talking a decade plus ago.
In high picks.
Vasily,
I'm not sure was that high.
He was 19.
Yeah.
19. So there you go. They haven't drafted anybody in the first. They've drafted some good players in the first round, but they've always been contending. And players, Steven Stamkos said it, we want to win cups. We don't really care about draft picks right now.
No.
So I think everybody's losing their minds over it. I mean, chill out. I mean, again, have the Lightning done enough to show you they make the right moves?
Yes.
They make the right moves. And here's the other thing, too. The third line of last year has been really hard to recreate.
Right.
And from the scoring touch, I think they've been pretty good physically. But scoring-wise, Hagel and Paul between them, 32 goals this year. The trio of Joseph, Radish, Kachuk, 16 goals. You're getting double the production from 2 players like that. And you can't sit around and wait for Radish and Kachuk to try to develop on a roster that needs to win that's trying to win a third cup, with Florida and other teams getting better around you.
Yeah, Florida gets Giroux.
Yeah.
And they're going to do the long-term injury thing, right?
With Ekblad.
Yeah. So, Florida, you had to answer that. You had to do something. And to have no cap space, you're going to have to give up a bunch of stuff. And I think what they gave up doesn't fundamentally change their future, especially with what they got back. Because Hagel, they have control over till the 25-26 season. And at that point, you'll probably be losing a couple other contracts, probably Stamkos, where he can step right in. So I think, everything he did has a purpose and fills a need. How do you complain with? If you're a fan, you love certain guys. You don't like to see Matthew Joseph go from a personal standpoint. We all love Matthew. Great kid, super teammate, great penalty killer. But, at this time, we wanted to see a little bit more polish on his game as far as putting the puck in the net. And he still seems to struggle with that. And, I think he can still become a great player in this league, and maybe going to Ottawa will afford him more opportunities to maybe play in the top 6. I don't know. But, when you look at the Lightning, just from a hockey standpoint, these were great moves.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, you have to put the fan hat aside real quick. I know Matthew Joseph was well liked in that locker room. Obviously hanging out at the Valspar yesterday with Alex Killorn. Hagel was there too, I think, with them, and Braden Point as well. But you got to put that aside. They're great hockey moves, like you said. And to me, it's about recreating that third line or getting some remnants of it going there, because the Lightning, as we saw again on Saturday, they're struggling right now. They are going through it. And this, 11 cities, 11 games, 12 or 22 days. It's crazy. So I think it's great moves, and we'll see if they're done or not, because they still got a few hours at the deadline.
All right. Just got some confirmation on something I'm very excited about. 3-time Olympic gold medalist Brooke Bennett's going to join us at 11:30 today to speak about the story, honestly, that has taken over the world outside of Ukraine, obviously. And this is Lia Thomas winning the 500-meter free at the NCAA championships. This is something we told you a couple of weeks ago was going to explode after he won, she won the Ivy League championship, won the 500, came in 5th in the 100.
I believe it was the last one. They were 5th.
Yeah, and obviously, if you don't know, Lia Thomas is the first transgender swimmer to win a NCAA championship, transgender athlete to win a championship, and it's being celebrated by many. But I think for the first time, I've really seen of something that is what we would put in the woke category of a culture war, where there's a humongous amount of pushback. And I think it has to do with the fact that, you have 2 groups here. that have been traditionally persecuted. And when you go back in history, and that's women and transgender. So to now eventually this was going to happen. You have the transgender lobby, basically going up against women's sports and the women's lobby, so to speak. And I think we're getting a much more honest conversation about a lot of things, because as many people that are screaming transphobic, people can be saying, I'm pro-woman. And those are great arguments to have. I cannot get past so much of what is an issue here. And there's these ridiculous testosterone limits that we put into the category, where the NCAA says you have to do that, you have to do this part of the transition, your testosterone levels can't be this, can't be that, can't be this. It's completely ridiculous. When somebody has been a man for 22 years of their life and is, you can't even get specs on this guy, because it's unfortunately on every other athlete, we know exactly how tall and how much they weigh. But for some reason, Lia Thomas, nobody wants to say. That's because with your eye, you can see it. She's about 6'3", 6'2". It's shoulders twice the size of any other woman out there swimming. I mean, her size and length is a huge, and strength obviously is a huge advantage. And I've said this many times. No one has a problem with acceptance of her as a transgender athlete, or you shouldn't. But competition is not a right. Competing in certain events is not a right. We have rules to even the playing field in almost every sport. In boxing, we have what? We have weight categories. We have age limits. We don't put seventh graders up against high schoolers to compete, do we? No, we don't. Why? Because there's a size and a strength advantage. Even at the same age, you don't have heavyweights fighting bantamweights. Why? Because it's not a fair fight. Then it doesn't matter about gender. So all across sports and all across competition, we have rules that even the playing field for very obvious advantages. And this is an extremely obvious advantage. And this is nothing more, in my opinion, than people with an agenda trying to, again, disrupt the culture, our culture, that has worked pretty well for a long time. And in this particular situation, where a lot of people were, man, this is a hard call. No, it's not. No, not to me, it's not. I mean, when you're disenfranchising 99.9% of the people who are competing to franchise, I guess might be the time, to allow for a 0.1% of the population to compete, and with complete common sense, unfairly so, this is not a hard call. She should not be competing. It's as simple as that. Or do what I said. And these are very empirical data points that you can look at. Men typically in the 500 swim 16 seconds faster than women, the top men to the top women, and on average. So Lia Thomas in the 500 needs to stand on the blocks for 16 seconds and then jump in the pool and see if you can catch them. That's fair. That's an empirical number. Look at it over thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of data points. We know how much faster men are than women. It's simple. There you go. If you want to compete or have a total transgender competition, and that's it. We shouldn't even be talking about this. But anyway, we're going to listen to Brooke Bennett, who's a lot smarter about it than I. At 11:30 is going to join us, and we'll get her take on this.
And she's a Durant High School alum.
That's right.
And I am a Durant High School alum.
There you go.
I remember I've seen her picture there all across the school. She's like our most famous alumni.
Of course she is.
So very excited for that.
Yeah, she's a tremendous. She worked for Bright House many years as a reporter. I've known her for a while. Famously challenged me to a swimming race and got her ass kicked. She won't want me bringing this up. She was silly to give me a half-length lead in a 50, which, even she couldn't catch me in that.
You gusted her at 50?
No, I got half a pool length. I was doing a 35 and she was doing a 50. And I got to jump in the pool halfway down. She had no chance.
That barely counts.
No,
but you can put it on your resume. I beat an Olympic gold medalist swimmer.
Complete. I mean, I deserve zero credit for that. But we did that just as a gag. It was fun. We had some fun with it. But no, seriously, I can't wait to hear her take on this because her voice needs to be heard. We need courageous voices to speak up in this moment. Because, I mean, if we can't talk about this, if we can't speak up about this, come on. How cowardly have we become? It doesn't make you a transphobic person. It doesn't make you a hater. It doesn't make you not accepting of people. It makes you defending women's sports. It makes you defending the obvious and maybe defending principles that you believe are better for this country and better for our culture, which I do believe. Again, I'm very compassionate to people going through the transgender transition. It's a tough thing to do, and we need to support that in every way we can. But I'm sorry, we don't need to be grooming kids in first grade, talking about gender stuff in first, second, and third grade. That's another evidently huge problem with this new law that Florida's put out, which I fully support. School teachers shouldn't be talking about that stuff to first, second, and third graders and kindergartners. Are you kidding me? No, absolutely not. Kids' minds are not developed enough to handle those type of conversations. So, no, this is a culture war, and people need to speak up, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. So we'll hear from Brooke Bennett at 11:30, and we got to take a break because coming up right now, Dan Lucas is going to join us from News Channel 8. We're going to talk some Bucs, some Rays. We'll talk some Valspar, all things local sports with the great Dan Lucas. 2-minute break. Stay with us. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. March Madness has come to the Gold and Diamond Source. Did you know the Aquamarine is the birthstone of the month, and the Emily collection has some great unique pieces. It's designed to be affordable, unique, stylish gold and diamond jewelry. The Juliet collection is Julie and Steve Weintraub's exclusive, one-of-a-kind, award-winning collection of the world's finest diamonds and rare fine gemstone jewelry. Don't forget, they have 0% financing and the Diamond Savings Account, where your diamond never loses its value. You can upgrade it anytime and get That's very common here in Florida. So call the law offices of Christopher Palermo. They can help you. Call 813-221-5636. That's 813-221-5636. He's recovered millions for his client. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on Fan Stream Sports. Only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, presented by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. You can reach him at PalermoPA.com. Added to the guest list, Bob Harig, senior golf writer at Sports Illustrated, will join us at 11 o'clock. So it's a star-studded affair today. We start with the great Dan Lucas from News Channel 8, lead anchor. What's up, my friend? How are you?
JP, how are you? I'm waking up today. It's gorgeous outside, and Yeah, I keep thinking about how, I call it the cycle. We've just finished the cycle with the Valspar Championship. And I can't believe, this place should just feel tremendous about itself. What we've pulled off in the past month. And Tracy West and the folks at the Valspar, what they did this weekend, great fortune with the weather. The tournament itself was unbelievable. The SEC basketball tournament the week before that, the IndyCar Firestone Grand Prix. I mean, it's crazy.
And Tom Brady coming back to the Bucs.
Yeah, Tom Brady. I mean, the vibe is insane. I was at the Tampa Bay Rowdies home opener Saturday night, which was a gorgeous night. The Rowdies were kicking the crap out of the Indy 11 and their home opener, and I was getting all the social media pictures from the concert at the golf tournament, and I just felt like everybody's having a blast tonight. This is awesome.
There was so much to do. Like everywhere you turn, there's something else to do. Plus, we had the reggae festival this week. The Innings Festival was out at so we had 2 music festivals, huge music festivals. I mean, if you ain't finding something to do in the springtime here, then I don't know.
The problem's not Tampa Bay. I can tell you that.
Absolutely
you
not.
Find something to do.
Golly, I mean, and this is the worst. Like if you're in, entertaining clients or in the sports business as you are, it's nonstop open bars. Like everywhere you go, like it was open bars at the Valspar this weekend where, people give you these great tickets, go here. It's like your liver, like enough. Like
I can't do it.
Yeah.
And what people don't understand is it's from morning till late at night. It's just all day. You're up at the crack of dawn, working. Then next thing you know, you're playing.
I know. It's like
crazy.
Well, gosh, I don't even know where to go first. Where were you this was? So you were out at the Valspar. I was there yesterday for the final round. Just unbelievable crowds. The weather was perfect, and Sam Burns drains a freaking 30-footer on 16, the hardest damn hole on the course, to win back-to-back Valspars. I loved his line too. Yeah, we do a lot of back-to-back stuff here in Tampa Bay. We do.
Exactly. He played the part perfectly, didn't he? And I thought the final round, the drama was terrific. Burns opened the door a little bit with his bogey on the 17th hole, which was, for us on the outside, is very entertaining. For him, it was a little nerve-wracking at the time.
Yes.
But he was able to get it right in sudden death. But you had this tournament of, before they even teed off, you had one of its best fields ever. You had guys trying to maybe be number one in the world. 2 guys that had a shot to qualify. Burns himself, the defending champ, he's now moving up in the world golf ranking. And then we mentioned the weather. We got lucky with the weather. And just everybody who needed to play well played well to put on a show. And I think that on TV it came off well too. I just think that this Valspar is different on this springtime part of the golf schedule. I think a lot of the average fans think it's just the TPC and then the Masters. It's not. These other tournaments put on quite a show, but the Valspar might be the best of all of them. To be honest, that's not even being biased. I think they put on a great show.
They really do. And the concert out there was phenomenal. And it was just, and now we got spring training starting up and the Rays are starting up. But I love the roster that the Rays have from last year. You got a lot of good young players, but the bottom line is everybody in the AL East beefed up. And, the Rays didn't get the guys that they were hoping to get. They didn't get Freddie Freeman. They didn't get Suzuki. They didn't get Olsen. They didn't get Chapman. They still need a big bat. Even the Marlins go out and get Solar at 3 years, 36. I guess the Rays didn't want him or didn't want to pay the money. I mean, we it looks like they're being aggressive, but are they really being aggressive? I tend to look at what you do and not what you say, especially when it comes to the Rays. Sorry, not going to trust you. And they didn't do anything. So, I mean, to me, Eric Neander has put together a great, obviously they win 100 games with their payroll. He should be executive of the year every year, but this was a whiff in the offseason. Not good.
Yeah, from a money standpoint, I agree. I do think that there's still pieces involved for a potential trade.
Yep.
But now that we're moving into the Grapefruit League and we're counting down to opening day, it's almost, to me, it's getting a little late to make moves because this is a crammed preseason, if you will.
Yeah.
For Kevin Cash to try and get his lineup in order, and now you got guys they're getting their at bats now. It would be hard to really disrupt that, I think, through a trade, but you never know. I would like to have seen a big time free agent come in here. As soon as the lockout was lifted, something happened immediately. I think we forget that the Corey Kluber thing happened hours before the lockout, and that was not celebrated nearly as much as it should have been.
Agreed.
For the Rays, and it came, it's right after Thanksgiving. People are just aren't in the mood for that, and so that's a big thing for the Rays to get a stable veteran to be in the starting pitching rotation, because as we know last year, we got to the point where we're like, who's alive, who can pitch today, who doesn't have Tommy John today. And so this is something that the Rays can really hang their hats on, at least from a rotation standpoint. But I would love to have seen a bat come in here. It could still happen. Who knows?
Yeah. They've got lots of trade capital. I still don't think Kiermaier's going to play for him this year with that salary. So we'll see. But bottom line is, I think a lot of Rays fans got all giddy about Freddie Freeman and all these, possible additions and spending money, and they just haven't spent any money. They just haven't. That's the truth. And until they, and by the way, when from this lawsuit, allegedly, that there's $500 million in the bank that Stu Sternberg has, and that money came from the Rays, and they've always said, oh, we're gonna, we'll put any money we make, we're gonna put back into the team. Okay, well, you didn't do it. You didn't do it. You didn't outbid the Dodgers. You didn't do it. You didn't outbid the Marlins. You didn't outbid anybody. You just kind of stand pat and are going to make another crap ton of money. So.
Years ago, I had a conversation with Andrew Friedman, and this was so long ago. It's when Carl Crawford was leaving to go to the Red Sox, and he said to me, "Listen, we have the money to pay Carl Crawford." He goes, "But we're not going to put whatever my number is for the payroll. I'm not going to put 30% of my salary into one player."
Right.
And I thought what he said made a lot of sense, and that's how the Rays do business. So you put this amount of money into a guy, he gets hurt. Now you're really screwed.
Right.
But at this, times changed, and the Rays have evolved as well, and they've shown in recent years they're willing to go out and get a guy, at least a pitcher.
Yeah.
They've done over the year, with Charlie Morton and these guys over the years. So to at least be in the conversation, I thought was encouraging, Freddie. But make that deal. It's not about selling tickets or getting a buzz. It's about putting a bat in the lineup to protect the Wander Francos of the world and to make your team better.
Yeah. So I do think there might be a trade, but at this point, I'm not real happy with what Neander has done in the offseason, given the opportunities that they would have had. Let's move on to the Bucs. You're going to the Godwin, Jason Light press conference today. And I threw this out there the other day with his representatives being CAA, which got the deals done for Matt Ryan and Julio Jones that crippled the Falcons. And, Godwin's deal was taking an unusually long amount of time. It should have been done before the tagging deal went down, and it wasn't. And I think it's because of his agency was holding out for big Devontae Adams type of money. And it's my feeling that Godwin, I think when Brady came back, basically just said, you know what, I'm going to take this deal. It's a great deal. Gives me $57 million guaranteed from last year and moving forward. That's not too shabby as I sit here with an ACL and a PCL horn. And he got the deal done. And I say kudos to Chris Godwin, and hopefully we'll hear about that today at his press conference. You think that's kind of how it went down?
I would have to imagine so. You would expect as Chris Godwin, I would expect my representation to aim high, as high as possible.
Absolutely.
Because when you have two sides that really are mutual and want to meet in the middle, that's bad business. Not how you do negotiations. But so I think it was always in good faith. But this goes back beyond. This goes back now more than a year.
Yeah.
That they couldn't get a deal done, and you're getting tagged again. That tells me that you were miles apart. The fact that a second tag had to be applied.
Yeah.
That you were really far apart on this. I think it's interesting that you mentioned Brady. That factor probably played a big role in it. But Godwin's deal takes him in through the transition period. He's consider this. He's going to be here for the all-in, which is this season. He's going to be here for the transition,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably next year. And then he's going to be here if he sees this deal out. He's going to be here for whatever's left.
Yeah.
And if the Bucs are in a good place in 2 seasons, then this is terrific. But if not, then he's going to be a guy that's in charge of trying to turn things around on the field.
Yeah, I love what the Bucs have done totally in this offseason. We expect Gronk, who was losing a bet to Rondé Barber yesterday in cornhole at Valspar. And I guess Matthew Joseph was the one who really lost because he got traded yesterday out of the Valspar.
Right.
So
exactly. He was at the Valspar. He got traded.
Like, I'm sure people were like on their phones going, hey, that's Matthew Joseph over there. And then their phone going, oh, wow, Matthew Joseph just got traded to Ottawa. You imagine being out in the sunshine, watching Valspar, you're following Sam Burns, and then all of a sudden your phone pops up and it's Julian Brisebois saying you just got traded to Ottawa. There goes half your salary, and you're going to go to lockdown Ottawa from free Florida. Poor Matthew Joseph.
to be honest, Ottawa's a very nice city.
Not right now.
I've enjoyed it around there. No, it's not.
Not right now.
Half English, half French. What side of the river you're on? That's what language you're talking. But it's just a cruel business sport sometimes, isn't it? But Julian Brisebois spoke about it and said, this is the tough side of the sport. But the bottom line is, he became expendable, and the Lightning are trying to miss and do a run. And this is what they've done the past week with Hagel.
Yeah.
This is Coleman and Goodrow all over again, with a little bit more control, I believe.
Yeah.
And so I think this is going to be a good thing in the long run for the Lightning.
No, I like what they've added in Nick Paul as well. They traded Joseph for 6'3", 225, and wins faceoffs in 49%. It's not 50, but it's better than most of the Lightning centers. So they've added pieces and things that they need, and they're more tough and more physical as they head into the playoffs. That's going to include Claude Giroux playing for the Florida Panthers. So I think Brisebois' hand was forced. They had to change some things up on this team. They weren't, they were middle of the pack in a lot of key metrics, even though they're, first or second in the standings, and they did to get better. I think they did. Agree?
I do agree. And Nick Paul is, you see the name and you're like, who the hell is this? And you're looking it up if you're a fan. He's been in the league 7 years. His whole NHL career has been in Ottawa. So obviously he's a grinder.
Right.
And this has got to be an absolute treat for him to come here.
Yeah.
And he's going to want to assimilate and fit in immediately and want to contribute as well. So that makes the team better when a guy comes in and wants to live up to what he knows he's coming into. So and Hagel the same way, or Hagel said that he had a difficult time in the first game with different system. They play in Chicago, but Nick Paul's going to have a transition as well. But by the time the playoffs roll around, these are going to be very good additions. And like you said, he's a tough guy too. He can bang with the body. I think that this playoff run is going to be just absolute murderer's row for the Lightning and the other teams who are going to face the Lightning in the brackets. You're looking at possibly this looks like a possible Toronto, Florida, Carolina, or Rangers conference final.
Yeah.
This is brutal.
And then you get the Avs in the final, or Calgary in the final. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got to be a bloodbath, and then the teams that wind up in the Stanley Cup final will have earned it because especially coming out of the Eastern Conference, this is going to be absolutely brutal. The Eastern Conference is tops by a mile, and it's just physical play. And I think it's great that it's the Panthers and the Lightning down here again.
Yeah.
It's probably on a collision course, but that's the Panthers they exist to beat the Lightning.
Yes, and
they have molded themselves and made moves as such, and it's up to the Lightning to keep up with this. But like you mentioned, some of the measurables, they're not there. And in a 7-game series, that can be exposed.
Yes.
So that's what they got to tighten up.
And speaking of exposed, I heard Florida made another move, not only adding Giroux, but for the playoffs, they're bringing back Kodak Black for
Kodak Black. I love it.
Pump up the crowd there in Sunrise. They're gonna give him his own luxury box,
Well,
and he's gonna entertain again.
I brought back a couple of the rats with me last year from the series last year. So the rat sits in the office as a reminder of how difficult that series was.
Well, between the rats and Kodak Black, I don't know if the Lightning will be able to handle the off the field pressure of that, but that's going to create a lot of excitement inside the little Sunrise shopping center there that they play at. So. Always got to get my shots in when it comes to the stinking Panthers. All right, Luke, tell us what's coming up on News Channel 8 this week that we should be looking for.
Tonight, obviously, Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
He's got to be a happy man right now. I can't wait to also hear how he's doing, how his rehab's going and how he feels, because he's surrounded now by examples of, I know everybody's different. Bodies are different. People recover from injuries different. However, with the procedures these days, technology, and the rehab procedures, people are coming back from ACLs,
stem cells,
like Joe Burrow. People. I mean, the whole Cam Akers with the Achilles thing last season. I think it's tremendous what's developing in the sports science world. So I can't wait to hear how he's doing and see what's realistic.
Yeah,
I know it's likely they're gonna be without him for a little while.
Yeah.
So which makes Russell Gage and Brashad Perriman a lot more important. But
yes.
So I want to check on how he's doing and get that for tonight. But it's Chris Godwin Day. Check in with the Rays as well, and we'll see what the Lightning do. They got till 3:00 to do something else. They only have about $10. I think I have more money in my wallet than the Lightning do.
They don't need. Hey, they don't need it. They don't need to do anything else. I think it's what they've done on what they did on the budget that he had. I still don't know how he pulled the damn thing off, to be honest with you. But that dude does some serious shopping. That guy, he needs some type of award for that. Brisebois. All right, we'll be watching News Channel 8.
When you go to ATM, check your balance. You're like, what? How is this all I have? That's Julian Brisebois right now.
Exactly. That's all. I had 80 million in here. What? And I'm down to 250. What the hell happened?
What?
Yeah. All right, partner. Good stuff. We'll chat with you later. The great Dan Lucas. All right, we will take a break. Yeah, we got a full show. Brian Reed, caddy for Matt Kuchar, is coming up at 10:45. Bobby the Chief Taylor at 11:15. We're going to squeeze Bob Harig in there as well to talk some Valspar, and then Brooke Bennett at 11:30 to talk about Lia Thomas. That's going to be an incredible news-making interview. So huge show coming your way the rest of the way here on the JP Peterson Show. Stay with us. March, the health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. March Madness is coming to the Gold and Diamond Source. Did you know the Aquamarine is the birthstone of the month, and the Emily collection has some great unique pieces. It's designed to be affordable, unique, stylish gold and diamond jewelry. The Julieve collection is Julie and Steve Weintraub's exclusive, one-of-a-kind, award-winning collection of the world's finest diamonds and rare fine gemstone jewelry. Don't forget, they have 0% financing and the Diamond Savings Account, where your diamond never loses its value. You can upgrade at any time and get 100% of its value towards a new purchase. Do you have any old jewelry, broken jewelry, just lying around? Well, bring it in and get top dollar and get even more value if you use that money to buy something new or just take the cash. Shop local with the folks who support our community in so many charitable endeavors. It's the Golden Diamond Source, just a short 15-minute ride from Tampa, just over the bridge on Ulmerton Road. Always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP, FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. We're going to do a little quick NFL segment here. We've got a lot of guests coming up. We're going to be talking golf with Brian Reed, Matt Kuchar's caddy, who was caddying out there at the Valspar yesterday. And Bob Harig will join us at 11 o'clock. Bob the Chief Taylor at 11:15. Talk some lightning. And Brooke Bennett's going to talk about Lia Thomas, the swimmer, transgender swimmer, at 11:30. So we're not going to have a whole lot of time to talk NFL. And a few things went down this weekend. The trade of Deshaun Watson out of nowhere to the Cleveland Browns. Your thoughts, Nick Geddes?
The Bucs dodged a bullet. That's my first one.
Yeah, right.
The division is still the Bucs. That was my first thing. Tom Brady's going to win a division title again. I feel pretty confident in saying that. And I think Jameis, he's going back to New Orleans. That came over shortly after Deshaun Watson. So we'll see what happens there. But
he's back. He's back in New Orleans.
I believe he went back to New Orleans the same day.
I thought this morning I saw that he was still up in
Or
the
is
air.
he still up in the air?
I don't know. I mean, that's what I heard on Get Up this morning.
Maybe.
Conflicting reports.
Conflicting reports.
I mean, where else? I mean, where else are they going to go? I mean, at this point,
I don't know. But in the thing about Matt Ryan too, last week they pushed his, I guess, a $7.5 million bonus. They pushed it to today, and unless they trade him by 4 o'clock today, he's going to get that bonus. So they're still shopping him because there's belief that the Colts may want him, or Baker Mayfield wants to go to the Colts. There's still some quarterback issues to be resolved, but the Deshaun Watson trade to Cleveland, clearly you got to keep up in the AFC, right?
Right.
The way it's going right now, and Baker Mayfield, to be frank, is not going to get you in the playoffs in the AFC this year.
No, it's interesting. When you look at last year's Baker Mayfield, and, he's one of those quarterbacks that you put in kind of the second tier that surround him with a good running game, good offensive line. He'll make some plays that you need to be made. I don't think he's a terrible quarterback, but he's not that upper tier guy. And I think what we saw this weekend was further evidence of the quarterback position just freaking dominating football like it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson is getting $230 million guaranteed.
Yeah, the first of its kind.
Guaranteed. This is a baseball contract.
Yeah.
Now, listen, with a quarterback, it kind of makes sense. But with a guy that, frankly, has a lot of risk attached to him, for the Cleveland Browns to do this it seems almost crazy, but you got to do it. You have to do it in this league. Give up 3 first-round picks, I think 2/3 as well.
Yeah, I think, what's it called? Seattle got a better deal for Russell Wilson back than Houston did.
Yeah.
I think. And maybe the legal issues maybe docked his value maybe a little bit.
They still got a lot.
They got a lot. But they're
still
crazy.
draft picks.
Yeah.
And the chances of you hitting on a top 7 quarterback with all those draft picks are not good. Even with all those draft picks, they're not good. So, I mean, and you have to have a quarterback. That's what I'm saying is like the league, we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. I think the league has become too quarterback dependent with these rules.
Yeah, and they have pull, though. They have pull. And you look at Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham Jr. didn't want to play with Baker Mayfield.
Right.
Jarvis Landry, I think, was done playing with Baker Mayfield.
Right.
Deshaun Watson goes in the building, and they already acquired Amari Cooper, by the way.
That's right.
Now Jarvis Landry wants to come back.
Right.
Now Will Fuller, who had a really good connection with Deshaun in Houston, wants to come back. Jadeveon Clowney wants to come there.
Yeah, they've already got a good defense.
They have all the pieces. So in regards to quarterback pull, Deshaun Watson to Baker Mayfield's not even close.
Right.
Now, would it shock you if Baker ends up in our division in Carolina? I know guys on Get Up were theorizing that today.
Yeah, I could see that.
I could see that. And maybe if Jameis goes back to New Orleans, you're rolling with Tom, Baker, Jameis, and we'll see with Matt Ryan. But in that scenario, I still think the Bucs have this division.
The whole idea that Matt Ryan was pissed off about, which was just reports. And, when I worked in Atlanta for a couple of years and got to know Matt a little bit, that seems a little bit out of character for me. Like, I don't think Matt's pissed off about it. I think he understands the business of this game because he's benefited greatly from the business of this game. He's made a lot of money. So this whole idea that he's demanding, a contract because his feelings are hurt, I don't know if I put a lot of stock in that.
You're Matt Ryan. Your time to win a Super Bowl's ticking. The game is passing you by with every year.
Yeah.
You go to a team like the Colts, who have a really good roster, with that offensive guru of Frank Reich,
That's
good GM.
That's a good.
That's
fit
a
for
really
him.
good spot.
It's a good fit
so
for
if
him.
they can find a trade before 4:00 today, I think Matt Ryan would love that. To be honest,
Yeah, I would love. And then who's quarterback in the Falcons?
well, the Jimmy Garoppolo front's been very quiet. It's like anybody wants Jimmy
Does
G.
anybody want Jimmy
Nobody
G?
wants Jimmy G.
Nobody wants.
And
Baker
nobody wants
Mayfield.
these quarterbacks in this draft. I can tell you that. Nobody wants them.
Well, if I'm the Falcons, at this point, you got to just. If I'm them, I go find a transitional quarterback and eat the $40 million on Matt Ryan this year. Send him to Colts, see what you can get back from him, and start rebuilding.
Yeah,
I mean, what is the point of keeping him? It really is. There's no point. And I think a lot of people in Atlanta have soured on him, and I think unfairly so. The organization's the one that did these deals. But you could also say Matt Ryan didn't have to take all that money. He didn't have to take all that money.
Yeah.
You could have taken. Look, Brady is he's the gold standard when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I get it. Everybody, look, it's hard for me to criticize guys getting the bag. But if you're a quarterback and you've made hundreds of millions of dollars, and Matt's made a lot of money in his career, at some point, do you not want to just give a little bit back to have a better roster? I mean, it's a personal choice.
I mean, everybody asked the question, how does Tom Brady keep doing it? It's a standard blueprint every year, right? I mean, yeah, he made $40 million this year in bonuses that he played so good for, but his cap hit last year was what, under 20 million?
Yeah.
I mean, he does that every year.
But he has also played the long game and said, look, I'll make more money in endorsements being a championship quarterback than I will just in straight salary from being a football player. And of course, having a wife that's makes more money than you do doesn't hurt. But I mean, he's got even his own salaries. He's got more money than he'll ever need in his life, or his family will need in his life. To me, it's when did it become like absolutely necessary to make as much money as you possibly can without any regard to your quality of life? I mean, my God, I mean, whether it's 20 or 25 million, is it that much of a difference? You could buy anything you want in the world, right? So but to me, coming to work every day in a place that I like to be, in an environment that I like to be, with success. If you're a competitive person, you want success. To me, that's a hell of a lot more important.
Which is why the Rodgers contract right now, frankly, looks silly.
Silly.
And
to me, I look back on this. I always try to what conversations went down there. I think the Rodgers basically just looked at Devontae Adams and said, look, man, let's just both go make as much money as we possibly can. Just get our bag. And that's exactly what they did. And they worked the system to get as much money as they possibly can, drive their values up. And then, but do they really care whether they're going to win or not? No. And that's the way Aaron Rodgers has always been to me. He's always been a guy more about himself and not a great leader. And that's what you get what you get. You get a guy that's a phenomenal talent. And, you could be criticized for not taking the chances, needed to win championships at times. Third and goal from the one. You could have tried to run it in, but you against the Bucs, you tried to jam it in. And then you blame the guy, your coach was always kind of stupid though for going for the field goal, but you could have done something on 3rd and goal.
Yeah.
So look, they got their money.
Yeah.
Good for them.
It's just great for the Bucs though. I mean,
it all fit in.
The Bucs offseason went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
They have killed it. They may not be done yet.
Nope.
And all these other teams are scrambling, giving up picks, quarterbacks. The Bucs haven't made.
The AFC is loaded. Lael Collins goes to the Bengals now. We've now put 3 great pieces of offensive linemen in front of Joe Burrow.
Good to go. Thank God we're not in that conference.
Yeah, I mean, Tunyon signs back with the Packers. Not that matters. And Devontae goes to the Raiders. Of course, you all know that. And by the way, the Cleveland Browns came out with a statement, said they did their due diligence on Deshaun Watson, right? Hired a private detective. Mm-hmm. Never called the attorney for the 22 women that are in the civil suits. Never talked to the attorney or any of the women that filed civil suits.
I hope they feel confident what they've done.
It doesn't sound like a thorough vetting. Let me just push back on that a little bit.
You don't give somebody, I don't care what kind of vetting you do. You don't give somebody with 22 active sexual assault cases out there, allegations, $230 million guaranteed. You don't do that.
And unless you know from the NFL, not in a week,
100%.
Maybe a couple games for.
The guy's probably getting 6 games based on precedent.
Well, but hey, how do you do that if there's no criminal charges? These are all civil suits, and
there's the same thing with Ben Roethlisberger and Zeke Elliott, and that was one woman.
Well, I think that there was more credible evidence against them Whereas, where's the evidence against him?
Where was the evidence against Tyreek Hill? It's right in front of me. What did he get?
Well, I know, but I'm saying with and again, I don't want to discount the claims of these women, but as far as what I've seen, is there any concrete evidence that there has been sexual assault here? If the grand jury doesn't in all these counts doesn't come back with any indictments whatsoever, it's just he said, she said in civil suits. How does the NFL have the power to suspend him for accusations by women seeking money that don't have any physical evidence of anything but consensual sex?
Yeah, we don't know if there's any more evidence to come. Clearly not in a criminal trial, at least they think, but $230 million. It's a number that it's new to the NFL. It's hard to comprehend right now.
By the way, I'm not discounting their claims. I'm giving both sides of the story is what we're doing here. So, all right, we got to take a break. Coming up next, Brian Reed's going to join us. He is the caddy for Matt Kuchar. He was out there toting a bag at the Valspar. We'll get you inside the ropes of a guy who went from maybe one of the worst shots of his career to one of the best in 2 holes. Stay with us. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home. Get some much-needed cash to handle Scott. Tell them JP said you could call 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. If you have any issues with construction defects at your home or your business, Chris is the guy to talk to. He specializes and is a bulldog in this field of law. So go to PalermoPA.com, the website, get more information. That stucco damage on your house, if you see the cracks, you got to find out what's going on with your home. There could be a lot of damage there behind those cracks. So call Christopher, and he will take care of it. He's the expert. Go to PalermoPA.com for more information. All right, let's go inside the ropes, shall we, with our PGA Tour caddy, Brian Reed, who totes the bag for the great Matt Kuchar, who finished 10 under par yesterday. Nice payday for him out at the Valspar, shot 69 on a tough day. What's up, Brian? How are you?
Hey, doing great. How are you guys doing?
Great. How was it out there this weekend? The weather was beautiful. The golf course was a little tough yesterday.
Yeah, it was awesome. The wind was, kicking out of that north. So it made a, totally different wind direction, different course. But, yeah, definitely played tougher. The greens were still a little soft, so it made it, playable. But, yeah, it was just a grind. It's just such a tough course. So you got to, that hole can come kind of jump up and get you.
So tell me about the stretch yesterday on number 10, where I was watching you guys come through, and then on number 11. Tell me about the emotions of that for your player, and what happened. What happened on 10 there with the chip shot?
Yeah, I don't know. It was sitting down kind of pretty good, just in the kind of the first cut there, and I think he made a little bit more out of it than he needed to, which he's usually really good at that in scrambling and chipping, but. Yeah. Hindsight, he probably should just putted it or kind of used the hybrid, but he kind of, he asked me and I said, well, it's sitting down pretty nasty. So he kind of used a 64-degree wedge and kind of put it back in the stance and tried, I don't know what that's the worst chip I've ever seen him hit, but he,
looked like one of mine.
Back and holds about a 40-yard bunker shot the next hole. So
yeah, exactly. It happened to pros all the time. You hit bad shots, and you hit a lot of them, and maybe there was a little something behind the ball. You never know. But for a pro to hit a shot like that and then make a bogey, and how do they get their mind back into it at that point? What are you going through in there? What are your conversations like?
that's why he's made so much money in his career. He's the best at kind of putting us in. He's such a competitor. People don't realize that. He's always smiling and happy, but he's a grinder, and he is, ultra competitive. So he, behind that smile is some fire, serious fire. But he's the best at kind of putting it aside. And, like you have to do it. I've worked for younger guys. Sometimes you just can't do that. And that's the difference. And that's why he's won a lot of big events and made over, $53 million in his career, because he can put it aside.
And tell me about the shot at 11. What'd you guys do on 11 there? The greenside bunker, and then he made it?
Yeah, it was downwind. So we had 230 to cover the bunker, which was a perfect 4-iron hybrid, and he kind of missed it a little bit. And you didn't want to go longer.
Right.
So we had to hit the 4-iron, and it had to be hit good, and it just didn't cover. And he's such a good bunker player, and he's such a good long bunker player. That's one of the tougher shots in golf to, try to fly it a long way. But, he'll use pitching wedges or 9-irons and gap wedges to fly it back there. But that one, he used just a regular sand wedge and just, flew it a long way there and hooped it. So that was, that kind of got us going, and we needed to make a little bit more money. And he almost hooped it on 13 for hole in one. I guess his kids were out watching, said it. I didn't see it on TV, but I think it went over the left edge of the hole.
Oh. So what now, when you're going through it yesterday, I mean, you were a little too far back to really make a charge. Or was there one point in the round where you thought you were in touch with the lead and could get there? And if not, what's the mental mindset of Matt in those situations?
I think we're always, we didn't talk, you don't really talk about it. You just kind of, just go as low as you can and kind of see where you are when when the last few holes. But we knew, we didn't birdie 14 after birdie on 13, and he missed, hit a good putt. I think he had about a 12-footer, but he kind of left himself a straight downhill putt and didn't birdie that, and then made a good save on 15. And 16 should set up really well for him. He just, you can't miss it right, or you're staring double in the face. So he pulled it, and we end up getting a good break and end up making a good par there. And then it was actually kind of cool. Nigel Kerwin with the Lightning, he had been tagging once, and he kind of said hey to me. We were walking to the 17th tee, and he said, "Hey, Coop's out here." So it was kind of cool. Got to see John Cooper out there as well. And Cooch has a little history with him. They both kind of summer in Idaho, and Cooch actually got to drink out of the Stanley Cup last year, so that was kind of cool. Nice. So they're pretty good friends. So got to say hi to Coop, so that was cool. I had never met him.
Good man, yeah.
Just kind of. Then we had
Cooper
the unfortunate bogey on 18, but.
So Cooper was out there, as was Alex Killorn and Matthew Joseph. And Matthew Joseph got traded during the final round from Tampa Bay to Ottawa, which has to be the worst thing ever.
Oh man, that stinks. Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know if Coop was out there and ran into Matthew Joseph, but whatever. So what's the as this week comes to an end? I know Valspar, Tracy West, they do a lot of great stuff for the players and the caddies at this particular tournament. What's the chatter around the tour from the players and the caddies about coming to this spot and how much they love what goes on here?
Yeah, yesterday paired with Stuart Sink and Cooch and Stuart are pretty good friends, and they both went to Georgia Tech. They weren't there together, but I just, all day they're just kind of chatting about what a great golf course it is. And just, there's, it's right there in front of you, but it's just such a good course. So the players like the course. I think it's a shame that, the one side, I guess the one downside, you're kind of up there and you're kind of away from everything up there. The players kind of get stuck in there, and there's not a lot of great options close by, and it's such a busy time too. So I don't think I wish they could get to enjoy staying somewhere, downtown St. Pete or Tampa, or, even out at the beach.
Right.
But it's you're kind of stuck up there. There's not a lot of great options, but I think they love coming here, and the field shows it.
Yeah,
great field.
So what's next for Matt? Are you guys in the Masters? What's next? What's happening?
So we're off this week and head to San Antonio next week for the Valero Texas Open, and then hopefully we need a win to get in the Masters, because he hasn't missed Masters in a long time, and unfortunately, we're not in the match play this week either, because he's not in the top 64, which we finished third last year, so that kind of hurts not being there. But he's getting close. Just a few shots here and there, just cleaning up a little bit. He's in the 16th last week, so it's a solid week, and especially since on Friday we were kind of leaking oil there coming in on that snake pit there, and we need 15, 16, 17 to go from like top 20 to right on the cut line. So it's a fine line out there.
It really is. We're talking to Brian Reed, caddy for Matt Kuchar. Hey, last question for you. What is the chatter on the tour about these other tours, the Saudi Arabian tour, all this big money that they're throwing at these players? I mean, for the top players, it's a great situation, but for the vast majority of the players, it kind of sucks. What is the chatter on tour about what some of these other big money tours are offering?
It seems to me, I mean, everyone kind of chats about it a little bit, but it seems like I don't know who's been offered because I don't know anyone that I know has that. I think they just kind of all, obviously it's out there. They're but there's nothing. I think people are scared of it, and I think the one thing is with this, where that money's coming from scares a lot of these guys. They want to do the right thing, and it's a lot of money, but is all that money worth it when they already have a pretty good life and they're competing and it almost might be a little bit too good. No bet, it's not how golf is right now, and it's just such a drastic change. That money is definitely enticing, but the PGA Tour is pretty good. It's a great things for charity. A lot of money these guys play for, and it keeps getting better. So hopefully, it just makes the tour stronger.
Yeah, it forces the tour to up the money, and that makes it good for everybody. And the caddy's life not too bad either, right?
Oh, for sure. These tournaments, I've been out there. This is my 20th season now, and it just keeps getting better and better. And I mean, the Valspar, I say this all the time. I said it on the show before, but JC West and the Valspar, they're just, they're awesome. They're one of the first, they do a lot of good things, caddy dinners. They were one of the first ones that gave us great, we park right there in the player lot right there.
Mm-hmm.
We have indoor facilities, great catered food all week. It's awesome. So that shows, and you put together a great tournament like that. You start, you got to start, you do the little things too. And the people talk about it.
And that's what they do there. It's good stuff. All right, Brian, don't be a stranger. We'll talk to you down the road, and we'll be our PGA Tour correspondent out there when things come up. Thanks, buddy.
Sounds good. Let's play some golf here soon.
Yep, let's do that too. That sounds good.
All
right.
Take
Brian
care.
Reed, Matt Kuchar's caddy. All right, when we come back, Bob Harig's going to join us from Sports Illustrated, lead golf writer. He's got a book coming out on Tiger and Mickelson. We'll talk a little bit about what's up with Phil Mickelson. He may not play the Masters. And is it his choice, or has the tour shunned him? Questions that need to be answered. We'll talk to Bob Harig. Quick break next. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at (294-7595) or email him at scott@amstampa.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All righty, the content just keeps on coming here on the JP Peterson Show. Our second hour brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo and his medical team will get you right. If you need a new doctor that you're looking for, I know a lot aren't taking new patients, but they are at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Go to BAMMC.com and find out more. All right, let's talk some more golf with our good friend Bob Harig from Sports Illustrated, formerly of ESPN, has the book coming out, Tiger and Phil, coming out very, very soon. May already be available. What's up, Bob Harig? How are you?
Hey, good morning, JP. I'm doing fine, thanks. How are you?
Good. Great weekend. It's your home tournament. As Valspar, I don't know who they know upstairs, but that weather was freaking perfect. The crowds were huge. Just your overall thoughts on the week for Tampa Bay and this Valspar tournament that not too long ago almost moved to Puerto Rico. I'm sure glad we still have it here.
Yeah, you know what? They kind of rolled with the punches very nicely.
Yeah.
Last year they, for whatever reason, the tour didn't to move them out of the date. And you sit there and you go, well, why our tournament? Pretty good tournament. Why would you move this one? And they kind of stuck them in late April, early May when weather isn't as good, or at least not as conducive to a good course, and maybe not as many tourists, and they rolled with it. And then they came back this year and had another good week, and Sam Burns is a great young player who's going to be on U.S. Ryder Cup teams and probably competing for majors here pretty soon. And it was a very compelling finish with really finally the golf course got difficult Sunday.
Yeah.
The weather early in the week led to conditions that made it a bit vulnerable, at least for those guys, not for mere mortals. And, it was pretty exciting there. I mean, it was tense. Some of the shots made, some of the putts made, they were fighting hard for pars.
Yeah.
And it was good stuff.
The finish was great. I mean, it was, 3 or 4 guys that could have won. JT was right there, obviously one of the most popular players in the world. It's great to have, a guy that has such notoriety up there at the top. He finishes tied for third. Davis Riley, who's a great story, a good young player, I think, who's going to do great things in this game. Maybe talk a little bit about him and what we saw from him. I mean, bouncing back from a triple bogey to do what he did to come back and contend and get into the playoff. Almost won it, had a putt to win it.
Yeah, Davis Riley, a nice story. I actually wrote about him yesterday because I thought that his, the way he handled himself the whole time. I mean, look, he played with JT on Justin Thomas on Saturday and shot 62.
Yeah.
And Justin Thomas is one of the top ranked players in the world. I think he was 8th. He's moved up to 7th now. And Riley was 399th. And to shoot that score in that company in contention. Now, look, they know each other. Actually, JT's been very good to him. They both went to Alabama, although not at the same time. Mm-hmm. And so, but still, he did that to give himself the lead. And then, on the 5th hole, there's very few players that win a tournament making a triple bogey at any time during an event. I mean, just think about it. It's very hard to overcome. To try to overcome it during the final round is nearly impossible. And yet he, like you said, he had a putt to win on 18. I mean, it wasn't an easy putt,
right?
And it didn't miss by much.
I know.
So it was pretty impressive that he got back into it after that. I mean, obviously he managed to make up those 3 shots, and unfortunately, shooting over par on the final day is going to be hard to win doing that, and that's what happened. Ultimately, it cost them, but still, heck of a comeback to give himself a chance.
Yeah, and I think the number, I think it was number 6 or number 5, where he made triple bogey, par 5, which he's looking at making birdie on that hole, possibly as long as he hits it. And then maybe just some bad decisions there. I think for maybe some older players, you got to get the ball back in play first and foremost, especially when you're in contention with a lot of golf left. But even though I thought bouncing back was tremendous mental fortitude, but he probably learned something in that moment, did he not?
Yeah, I mean, he more or less said that afterward.
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody's ever been where he was.
No,
in
me,
2,
maybe
in 4.
Yeah, right.
We're there, but not 2. He was over like on the 8th tee. I mean, there's nothing in the yardage book that they carry that tells you, well, if you're over here, this is how far you have. And, there was a lot of obstacles and he didn't quite hit it right. And then that led to, a penalty shot. And then he didn't quite, he needed to at one of those points take his medicine.
Yeah.
And probably in that instance, he needs to just get the 3rd one back in play somehow. And then, he had to be thinking, all right, I've got to be guarding against making worse than a bogey here. You don't want to make a bogey on a par 5. You certainly don't want to make a triple.
No.
And that's what happened. And I think he recognized, you just got to sometimes, live with it. You still have, 13 holes to go. If you guys are going to make bogeys, go ahead and take your bogey and get out of there. And he compounded it. And obviously that ended up being, he almost overcame it, but it's a lot to ask.
And let's talk about Sam Burns. I mean, he coming down the stretch, he bogeyed 17 and now brings JT, Davis Riley, even Neesmith had a chance to get into the playoff and barely missed, bring all these guys back into play. And so, kudos to him showing some mental toughness right there. And then, on 16, just getting a 3rd-footer, to win the tournament. That's pretty special stuff right there.
Well, the bogey that he made on 17 could have easily been a double. I mean, he kind of hit a poor tee shot there, left himself a long bunker shot that he didn't get on the green. And now he's chipping and, trying hard to hit it close, and he hit it like 10 feet by, and he made the 10-footer for bogey. I mean, if he makes double there, that's a real disaster. I think he had to feel good about making that putt. And then obviously he had a chance to make birdie on 18 too. It's not that there was a whole lot of birdies on 18,
right?
Not that easy to do, but well, the crazy thing about the shot on 16, or the birdie putt on 16, is he did not hit a great drive. Riley was actually out there in front of him. And his second shot was okay. I mean, look, it's on the green. I think on 16, he's being the green. You're not expecting to make a 35-footer. And, he kind of left the door open there a little bit, and Riley missed the green.
Yep.
So, it looked like they were both going to maybe make pars, and he drains it. So, nice dramatic way to win on top of it.
Good stuff for the Valspar. Bob Harig joining us here. He's got a book coming out on Tiger and Phil. And I got to add something we were chatting about in the media room, and I don't know how much information you have on this or what's going on, but you mentioned to me that Phil hasn't played since he made those comments. And, of course, he's lost all his sponsors. It's been a brutal reaction to his comments. And we're hearing that he might not play the Masters. I mean, a former champion who's still competitive, who just won a major tournament last year in the PGA, not playing the Masters. I mean, is this his decision? Is it the tour's decision? Is it Augusta's decision? What the hell's going on?
Yeah, it's a great question because there's a lot in play there.
Yeah.
First of all, the tour can't keep him from playing the Masters because they don't run it. There's been some speculation that he's been suspended, but because the tour doesn't announce discipline, we don't know.
Oh.
And I could go off on a tangent on that. I think it's one of the dumbest things ever. Like they don't announce discipline. Now, listen, if you don't want to announce a fine because a guy threw a club or swore or something, that's fine.
Yeah.
But any kind of a suspension or penalty for something egregious, every other sport announces it. In fact, other sports do it before they're appealed.
Right.
Like the only time they announce a suspension in golf is if the guy gets hit for PEDs. And, that happens rarely in golf anyway. There's just not a lot of that going on. So something like this, you're not going to tell us if he's been forced to sit down. Phil, and it could have been all in together when Phil said, I'm going to take some time. Well, it could have been he was told he had to take some time, so we just don't know. And then the reason I think the Masters is in doubt is he hasn't played since the first week of February.
All right.
The Saudi event, as it happens to be, he didn't play. That's the last time he played.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been 6 weeks now. And this week, the match play would have been maybe a point for him to come back 2 weeks before the Masters. Many times he's played the week before.
Mm-hmm.
So next week, the Texas Open. I mean, that's kind of another sign. If he doesn't enter that, then it's like, okay, is he going to really not play at all and just come back at the Masters?
Mm.
So then it leads to wonder, well, maybe he's decided not to play, or maybe they told him not to. It's an invitational. The Masters has unique powers. They can do whatever they want. They can tell him not to show up. And whether or not they'll ever really disclose any of this, I think, is what we're sort of waiting on. And but I think it would be a shame. Look, he said what he said. and this hasn't been a great period.
Right.
But it's still Phil. He had a pretty strong 30-year run of a lot of good.
Yeah.
And are you going to wipe it all out with this?
And what about
he's
the
a reigning
fans?
PGA champion, an amazing accomplishment at age 50.
Yeah.
51 now, oldest major champion ever. So yeah, I don't know. I just while he didn't handle himself great in some of this, you know, people make mistakes, and I think he should be allowed to come back and you know, maybe he needs to account for this a little bit better. Fine, so be it. Let him do that, and then let him play.
Yeah, I think somebody's going to have to give a real good explanation to the fans if he doesn't play the Masters. And of course, we know Fred Ridley, who's the chairman there, will have a big part of that decision. And I think, I don't know, let's handle some of these controversies better than Fred and all the things that Augusta's been through in the last few years. So I would expect to get a great explanation from him one way or another. So, excuse me, at least we got a good man in charge of that. So we know there'll be some clear thinking involved. Hey, tell us about the book before you go, and let us know where we can get it and when it's out and all the good stuff.
Well, thanks. It's available to pre on Amazon right now. It actually releases right after the Masters.
Nice.
It might get into bookstores in early April, but like the actual official pub date is after the Masters. And yeah, you know, unfortunately, I'm not talking about some of the later things. It's amazing to me that they continue to be relevant.
Yeah.
You know, because the way the book was written, I allowed for that possibility, but it's you know, mostly meant to, you figure that there's a line where their careers are going to taper off. And Tiger winning a 15th major at age 43 and Phil winning a 6th at age 50 seemed like a pretty good ending point, right? You know, it's hard to think they're going to do so much more after 30 years, but it's sort of a deep dive into the intersection of their careers and how really they intersected a lot more than their records suggest. I mean, nobody's record's close to Tiger's, you know, 82 wins, 15 majors. But then again, nobody else is close to Phil.
Right.
45 wins and 6 majors. There's nobody else under, well, Phil is 51, Tiger now 46. Nobody else under the age of 50 with 25 wins on the PGA Tour, and Phil has 45.
Wow.
So, I mean, Dustin Johnson has 24, Rory has 20, Justin Thomas has 14. I mean, you know, those guys have a chance to get there. Maybe.
45 is a lot.
It's still,
that's a lot.
You know,
ton.
for Dustin Johnson, it's what? It's 21 more wins.
That's a lot.
For Rory, it's 25.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a lot of winning that has to take place. So, you know, they had their moments of rancor between them. There was times when they wouldn't speak. There was times they were even Ryder Cup teammates one year. They were actually partnered twice on the same day, disastrously.
Great idea.
And I kind of dive into that big time. And they traded green jackets. They had that big match in Vegas. Their careers intersected a lot.
Yeah.
And I've dug up a few stories and tried to put it all in perspective as best I thought I could.
Can't wait to read it. He's Bob Harig, Sports Illustrated. Follow him on Twitter and get the book. It's coming out soon, so you can order it right now. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate your time, partner.
Thank you very much. Be well.
All right. Man, if Phil doesn't play the Masters, fans are going to be pissed, and they should be. And there needs to be an accounting. And if you're going to suspend him, let's talk about it. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Bobby the Chief Taylor is going to join us. Big moves for the Lightning at the deadline. They might not be done, but I think they are. But we'll talk about the new additions to the lineup when we come back with the Chief. Quick break. Stay with us. March Madness has come to the Gold and Diamond Source. Did you know the Aquamarine is the birthstone of the month, and the Emily collection has some great unique pieces. It's designed to be affordable, unique, stylish gold and diamond jewelry. The Julieve collection is jewelry.
Yeah.
all the pieces of your life. Italiano is as much a part of Tampa Bay as the Cuban sandwich, Gasparilla, and our Bucs, Lightning, and Rays. We're also active supporters of great charities like the Humane Society, Metropolitan Ministries, and local pediatric cancer centers. Hey, we all need insurance, so do business with a local company with a commitment to our community. Don't call some 1-800 number. Call Italiano and be greeted by one of your neighbors. That's 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Named the Small Business of the Year by the Tampa Chamber. 813-877-7799.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. What a show we have for you today. It's a cavalcade of superstars brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. In our second hour, Christopher Lugo and his team over there will get you right. Testosterone replacement, hormone replacement, or just getting you back to good health. Go to BAMMC.com to get hooked up. All right, let's talk to the greatest analyst in the history of the Tampa Bay Lightning. We love him so much. He is Bobby the Chief Taylor, and he joins us now to talk about the new moves. What's up, Chief? How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, JP. Yeah, busy day today.
Oh yeah. Anything else? We've been doing the show. Any other late trades that have happened here? I know you're following all the deadline stuff.
Yeah. No, just a couple of. The show originates out of Canada, so they talk about the Canadian teams 99.9% of the time.
Shocking.
Yeah, but there's been a few minor things. Guys going kind of like depth players.
Yeah.
Going to Pittsburgh picked up a defenseman, Boilo, draft pick, and he would be like a fifth or sixth guy for them. And Fleury just signed with Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Or got traded to Minnesota, the goalie, Andre Fleury. He just went to Minnesota. They just announced it about a minute or 2 minutes ago.
Interesting. All right, well, let's talk about the Bolts moves, and we'll start with Brandon Hagel as the Lightning give up Radish, Kuchar, and a couple of first-round picks. It's a lot, but it's one of those moves that the Bucs have made. When you got a great roster, F the draft picks, right? We want to keep. We don't know who those people are going to be. So here's a proven player, 20, 30 goal scorer potential in this league. What do you think about the addition of Brandon Hagel and how he'll fit in?
Oh, I think he'll fit in perfectly. I mean, when I'm talking to some people I know in Chicago, he's not real big, but boy, he plays in every area of the ice. Like he goes to the corner hard, goes to the front of the net. And he's 23 years old. They got him under contract for 2 more years. Plus, they have his contract, when the unrestricted free or restricted free agent for another 3. So they got him under, and he's only 23 years of age. And, you give up a first round next year and the year after, which could be around the 30th, or high 20th pick. And you've already got it. And those guys usually, they take, especially when you're drafting that low, unless you're getting the top 10, they don't really jump right into your lineup. So you're looking at 3 years past that draft for that draft player to come around, and you got a kid 23 years old that's going to be a really good player for you already. And I thought it was a great trade. I know the Chicago were shocked.
Yeah,
and they traded him because he was not only a fan favorite, but the players loved him.
Yeah, to get a guy who's ready to come in and is only making $1.5 million a year. I mean, for what Breeze Ball had available to pull off what he pulled off, I think is just tremendous. Now, the bad side of this, the business here is when you have to trade a guy like Matthew Joseph. And I think they got a really good player, Nick Paul. Before we talk about him, let's just talk about Matthew Joseph and, what he's given this team. I know a lot of fans are pissed about this one, but from a hockey standpoint, I think it's a really good move. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Paul, he's a big man, 6'3", about 217. I think they need, with all what was going down in our division, like Florida just bulked up like crazy.
Yeah,
with players, and I think that when you see all the moves, Boston got better, and Boston's only 2 points behind us for that third spot. I think it was a pretty good meal. I think Paul's a little more physical presence. I mean, he's 2 years older. And, he's got a few more points and goals than Matthew Joseph. But the size, I think, and the grit is what they were really looking for, and I think they got that. The kid, surprised. They come right out of left field like that one here. That was a surprise to me a little bit, But Matthew got great skating ability, and everything. And I don't know, I kept thinking that he would be a top 6, forward, or maybe even a top 9, and I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah.
But the kid Paul coming in here, and I think he's got a little bit more grit to him, as they like to say. I think he's got a little bit more. He plays a little bit more of a physical game than Matthew, and he's got the size too.
Yeah, and I think it kind of portends of what, and I think you said it for the playoffs, is the Lightning know what they're up against, and maybe Florida has a little bit more, scoring punch than the Lightning do, and it's not something that we've had to deal with, and maybe what Brisebois is portending here is that, we're going to get physical with Florida. We're going to try to take it to them, and we've got obviously the best goalie in the game still, and we got guys who can score as well. So I think it just balances out the Lightning. It makes them a better playoff team, and that's what it's all about, right? And they're more physical, and now they can put together kind of a shutdown line that can go up against these other teams and beat them up a little bit in a 7-game series. Yeah,
it's so we saw it with the Capitals that year that Washington won their cup. We had that 3-2 lead in them, and everybody saw they outmuscled us. Well, what it was is we were small on the forward line. When you're playing a 7-game series, and you're 180 pounds, and you have to keep pushing off a 210 to 220 pounder all the time, it tires you out. I mean, you can skate all day, but it's the physical end of the game that you have to play in the playoffs, and it's every day against the same group. That's what wears you down, and I think was more of a factor in that year when they beat us in the finals or in the Eastern Finals for them to go on to win the cup. Was that we just got worn down, because our forwards weren't real big, and that's why we went out and got the Goodrow and the Colemans. They were bigger and stronger, and they were big factors in us getting those back-to-back cups. And I think they're looking at that too, that possibly we could do that. And and for me, getting that Hagel, he can score. I'm telling you, this guy could be in the top 6 here. And we've got a couple guys that haven't, like Andre Palat hasn't scored a goal in 17 games.
I know.
Sorelli's had one in the last 16 games. So, this kid can score, and you never know, he might just fit in on one of those lines as well.
Yeah, I agree. And so how do you think the lines are going to shake out now? You have what do you think it looks like now?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. I mean, Hagel is the X factor, because he's got 21 goals now, and he's playing on a team that that wasn't that talented. And for me, there's a couple of plays that he made in the game on Saturday that just really opened my eyes. He could be any one of those guys on that lineup there. It's not so much what have you done for me lately type of thing, And Pally, who everybody loves, and I love him too, but he's really struggled. He's only had 3 assists too in that 17 games. So his offense has kind of really gone by the wayside right now. He could end up dropping down a bit, because he's still a very good defensive player too. But it's hard to say how they're going to fit him in. But I think this Hagel kid deserves to get a shot, because that gives you another score. And you know what? Even though he's not real big, he isn't afraid to put his nose in there and try.
Hey, real quick, your thoughts on Saturday night's game? The Rangers win it 2-1, last second power play goal. The Lightning, I want to say they're struggling, but this is kind of the doldrums of the season. It's not quite the stretch run. It's not, it's not beginning of the season. Long road trip. Where do you think the Lightning are right now?
Well, we just can't keep taking these penalties.
Yeah.
I mean, we had 6 power plays again. They gave up 29 power plays in those 6 games on the road. Then you come back and do another 6 games. What it does to you is, first of all, it taxes your goaltending and your penalty kill, and then your offensive guys sit for a long time. So now they got to get back into the flow again. And they're not good penalties. They're tripping and hooking, and those what we used to call lazy man penalties, because you're not skating and your feet aren't going fast. You're desperately trying to slow a guy down, and our puck management has led to those penalties. So those are the two things that I'd like to see get a lot better. I mean, but the penalty, we're the third highest penalized team in the league, JP.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, we're not that kind of a team, basically, but they're more. It's all these hooking and tripping and these baloney penalties. You know what I mean? And I think that has to really get cleaned up. We have to become a much more disciplined team and stay out of that penalty box.
Totally agree, Chief. All right, good stuff as always, my friend. We're getting to the stretch run here now. We're past the deadline. It's going to get fun. So I'll look forward to seeing you when the boys get back. We'll have a bunch of home games, so that'll be fun as well. Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it.
You bet. All right, JP. See you then.
Bob and Chief Taylor right there. All right, when we come back, gold medalist Brooke Bennett, one of the greatest swimmers in Olympic history, will join us to talk about the hottest topic in the world, sports society anywhere. It's Lia Thomas, who won the 500 at the NCAA Championship. We'll get her take when we come back. Stay with us. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him. Issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We're brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center in our second hour. And we are so excited and pleased to be joined by multiple-time gold medal winner in the Olympic Games in the 800-meter freestyle, the 400-meter freestyle, one of the greatest swimmers and Hall of Famers in the history of United States swimming, the great Brooke Bennett joined us here. And fellow Durant High School native, my producer who you just talked to, Nick Geddes, went to Durant High School as well, so he wanted me to point that out. So great.
Yeah, go Cougars. I love it.
There you go. So how are you? I haven't talked to you in ages. What are you up to these days?
Well, if it's been ages, then I'm just a lot older. I'm a mom of two boys. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Awesome.
Run a learn to swim school, working for a nonprofit organization. just keeping busy and trying to stay young, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the youngsters will do that for you. That's great. I bet you're you're the greatest mom ever, and those kids are probably the most healthy kids on the planet, I would imagine.
They're pretty awesome. They keep my hands full, and as long as they're staying healthy and polite, yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. I feel like we're doing a pretty good job, and they love school. So
how about that?
Nice.
Some old school values, which is
Yes.
maybe a nice little transition to what we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
And there's something that's really, really rocked the swimming world. Lia Thomas, a transgender swimmer who won the 400 meter, 500 meter, I believe it was, NCAA championship. And a lot of people are up in arms about this, Brooke, and idiots like me can talk about it all they want, but when it comes from a gold medalist like yourself, I think your voice is badly needed in this argument, and I hear all things that you have to say about it. So I'll just give you the floor here and let you. I saw your post on Facebook, and I said, I got to get Brooke on the show here. So what do you think?
No, and I'm certainly happy to talk to you about it. I've followed a lot of people's comments. I see comments from just the average person raising a family, raising their daughters. The swimming community has really come out in full force, especially a lot of the Olympians, my Olympic teammates. Families that have young daughters that are age group swimmers right now, and it's a very touchy subject.
Yes.
But it doesn't take a lot of intelligence to do this properly. And I will say, NCAA's failed miserably on this. Failed miserably. And now that this is done and the NC has happened. Titles were won over the weekend. We can't let this sleep now. One of the things that I want to see is how USA Swimming is going to stand up to this and what USA Swimming is going to do, and are they going to make this right? Because we haven't talked about the Olympic trials yet. We have the Olympic trials coming up in a few years. We'll have a team that's going to get selected going into Paris in 2024, and Lia Thomas has made it, I think, public that Lia would like to compete. And I have no issue with Lia competing in a category that Lia should be competing in. And when he goes into sports, it is gender. Yes. It is biologically gender. It is not what you identify with. And that is the easiest way to put it. Our world, our society, on our preferences and what we like and don't like is completely open. I have so many friends that are a part of the lesbian community, gay communities, whatever community that they want to be a part of, and we are a society that I think with open arms, we should be welcoming all of them. Live your life and be happy with who you are. But what I identify with is different. And by gender, a male born, my boys, gender is male. Mm-hmm. And that is the way that they are born. And that will never change no matter what you take or what surgeries you have to identify with. Same thing as a female. You were born as a female. If you identify differently, that is fine. And I think so many people have stated that. Now, I have seen a lot of comments and bashing and being cruel, which I think is clear wrong.
No good.
I have no issue with Lia Thomas identifying, okay? I don't have an issue with that. I made a joke on one of my comments. I identify as a mermaid. Does that mean I am a mermaid? No. But I identify with that, and many of my friends would laugh about it.
Yes.
But that's the point that needs to be made. And NCAA's failed. If you have a requirement and they're saying you have to take testosterone blocking drugs, whatever they may be, where is that proof? Well, if you have to get drug tested and you need to be under a certain level of testosterone, Where was that proof? Lia Thomas comes out in interviews asking to be respected. I have not heard Lia Thomas make one statement of respecting a gender that she wants us to open up to. Have you made a statement showing the respect that you have to every female? I haven't seen any statement of that other than I'm here, I identify, and I deserve to be here. Well, you know who deserved to be on the top of that awards podium? Emma Wyatt in the 500-yard freestyle, because she is biologically born a female.
Well, I totally agree with everything you've just said. And you brought up the testosterone part of this. And I read an article where it talks about how she has transitioned there. That I think the NCAA actually came up with a formula and said you have to transition this testosterone level, blah, 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 as you transition. And if you meet these guidelines, you can compete. To me, that's the most ridiculous thing ever. It doesn't take her from being 6'2" or 6'3", whatever she is. I mean, you see the video, she's twice the size of most of these female swimmers. And she didn't suddenly become, 5'8", 135. She's 6'3", 170 or whatever it is. It's weird that you can't find her specs because the media won't put that out there. But you can just see, I mean, how much of an advantage is it just in terms of physical ability right now because of her size? Of course, she's been a man for 21 years. That you don't dial that back, right?
No, it doesn't change. And I'm going to give you, I saw this and I believe ESPN posted this back a few months ago. And I'm going to give you a comparison in swimming, and it kind of simplified everything for me. You take Missy Franklin, who was the world record holder in the women's 200-meter backstroke, and Missy Franklin stands 6'2", so she's a tall girl. There's tall women out there. I have best friends that are 6'2". Okay, so yeah, they're gonna I look like a dwarf standing next to them, but Missy Franklin is 6'2", a female, was the world record holder in the 200-meter backstroke. Take Ryan Lochte. Ryan Lochte stands at 6'2". He was the world record holder in the 200 backstroke. Okay, wingspan, height, everything is the same. Now you take female versus male. Missy Franklin's world record time is in the 202s. Ryan Lochte's world record time stood at 152. Same height, wingspan. That's the difference between a female swimming the same exact event and a male swimming the same exact event. That's about 10 to 12 meters of difference right there.
Wow. I mean, and that's and we have empirical data that talks about how much faster men swim than women. I mean, you could take all the data points. There's tens of thousands of times. And I mentioned this, and this may sound stupid and it may sound quirky, but it's about as stupid as having a male swim against women in my estimation. But there's like that one.
And again, and yes, NCAA did come out and state that you have to be taking to block your testosterone, to lower it to whatever level that they said. Yes. So under those guidelines, according to what Lia Thomas says or attorneys or whatever, have they been giving this information, but this information was not given public. But here's the thing. If NCAA's had this information, every single time somebody has tried to go to them to get them a comment from anybody within that organization, they have denied it. So they failed miserably.
Wow.
Miserably, and then you have an NCAA champion in Lia Thomas, and it was stated any NCAA champion has a mandatory press conference to attend. Lia Thomas did not attend that press conference on Thursday night.
That's not right.
And I have heard zero of any punishment handed down for that. Now, would they have done anything differently if any other swimmer didn't want to go and attend that press conference? So again, they've failed because they've allowed one individual to come in and, quite frankly, do whatever they want.
It's just not right on so many levels. Brooke Bennett joining us now, gold medal swimmer, talking about Lia Thomas. And I brought up this. I know it sounds preposterous, but when we have all these data points, men swim 10 seconds faster in this event. They swim in 8 seconds faster in this event. Why not have Lia Thomas just stay on the blocks? 10 seconds. I mean, that's an empirical data. We want to use testosterone numbers and all this other stuff to try to, quote, make it fair. Well, there's a number right there that's as fair as you can get. Why wouldn't they do that? Because it makes her look different. It shames her. I don't know, but I'm looking for some type of a redress here or some way to make it fair. Otherwise, just have a transgender category. I guess that's the only other way you can do it.
And that is. And to me, I've said that from the very beginning, that is the only way that we move forward in sports, because it's happened in swimming. We saw it with a Australian weightlifter, I believe, is just going to venture into the track and field world. Do we have WNBA because they can't compete with NBA? Are we going to see a female that wants to try to make it into the NFL? Okay, like, I mean, this is where I go back to common sense.
Right.
All right. We are genetically, we as in women, myself, I am genetically born and created differently. My strength, my size will never be in comparison. It does not mean that I am not going to go out and race and train with guys to better myself. Okay, that is the whole part of teammates training to get better, pushing yourself, going and running with somebody that's a little bit faster than you, because that's going to make you better. When it comes down to actual competing and in sports, okay, this is not you walking to your car and putting on your outfit to go into work today and whatever that may be. You're there at the radio station, at work, whatever that may be. This is not about this. This is actually about sports. NCAA's 50 years ago, Title IX. What are we doing to Title IX?
Destroying
it's basically like it's been thrown out the window. We don't care anymore. We spent 50 years trying to develop and give women a fair platform to compete on, as just the men did. And now 50 years into this, we're letting this happen. If this is not handled properly, this will be the end of women's sports. This will be friends that I have that have little girls that are 9 and 10 years old. Their life in sports will not be what I was able to experience. I sat on Thursday watching the results of this 500, and I've been open, I've been honest, I've been talking about it. I feel like I have nothing to lose. I'm 41 years old. I've had my time in swimming. I love swimming. I do open water swims to this day, but I'm not going to sit quiet.
Good for you.
I don't think those of Alex Walsh, Emma Wyatt, those swimmers, Brooke Forty, I don't think that those swimmers, this is the time that they need to focus on this. This is the time where someone like myself needs to stand up, and that we cannot let this go dormant just because the competition is over, because Lia Thomas's collegiate career is done. What is next on the table? Are you going to try to go to the Olympic trials? Are you going to go and try and compete in Paris in 2024? If you go to Olympic trials and the girl that's third is left off because you just so happen to be first or second, what does that do?
Yeah. No.
And these organizations across board need to come up with something. And to me, it is a transgender category.
Yep.
And listen, if I'm not I don't know, I can't think like a transgender. I don't know. But okay, a man transitioning into a woman, that playing field, you're going to go, let's just use Lia Thomas, ranked 450th in men, and you come to the women's category and you won a national title. Now flip that around. You take a female that is now identifying as a male. Is that individual going to go in and compete fairly with the men? The answer is no. So you have to look at it at both ways. And the only way to be fair from a female changing into a male or a male changing into a female is you have to give them their own category. If this is the direction that we're going in sports, there has to be given other categories.
I totally agree. And people say where there's no precedent for, you look around all of sports, as I said in the post I put on your Facebook, societally, everybody accepts transgender. We're all very, very
correct,
compassionate to that, but this is competition. You don't have a right to compete. I mean, we have in boxing, we have weight categories. We don't make heavyweights go up against lightweights. Why? Because there's a distinct difference. And in that position, it's a safety issue. That we all across sports, we make rules to make it an even playing field in a lot of different ways. why not?
It is not sexuality.
Right.
Let's be very clear on this, JP.
It's fairness.
It is not your sexuality. And it is, and I'm going to tell you this right now because this is the path that we're going down, because everything turns into political. It's politics, and this isn't a political debate.
No.
I don't care what side of the road you're on. This is not your sexuality, and this is not your political view. This is your actual gender. That's it.
Yeah.
And if you can look at it that simply, you go by gender and you go by science, then I think everybody across the board is going to look at this and go, creating a transgender category is the only way you can go. I am not standing here today saying Lia Thomas has no place in swimming. Absolutely not. I have never been that way. I would never say that. I will never disrespect what makes an individual happy. We all think for ourselves. We all know what makes us happy and unhappy. That's not what this is about. Nobody needs to bash Lia Thomas. We're not inside Lia Thomas's head. What we need to do is look at this and intelligently make a decision that we are not harming individuals. We are not mentally bashing individuals. And quite frankly, I that's what scares me the most, is how just saw the news on the Stanford soccer player taking her own life. That's tragic. That's sad. These young collegiate athletes, student athletes, have so much pressure. I have said this from the beginning. There was no social media when I swam.
Right.
There wasn't all of this. The pressure that these student athletes are under now is something I cannot even compare myself to what I was 20 years ago. And we see it with this individual of taking her own life. A beautiful, young, intelligent, smart girl takes her life.
Tragic.
Okay? If we do not do properly, girls are writing letters to the NCAA. Girls are being told to be silent, being told to deal with this. Please, I'm hoping and I'm saying, like, go to somebody and ask for help. If you're struggling with how to do this, go talk to somebody. Because I feel like the way that this has been handled, the mental damage that some of these athletes are going to go through, because this not being properly by the higher ups that are supposed to be taking care of these student athletes are not doing their job and so afraid to touch it or say anything. How many athletes are you putting at risk for mental health issues right now?
And that's something nobody's talking about. Everybody's focusing on, Lia Thomas and her mental situation, and obviously so. We have to be compassionate about that. And I am, and I think most of us are. All of us are.
Mental.
But we're
anybody that competed. 417 some athletes were up in Atlanta this past weekend competing at the national championships. All of them. I am not excluding any transgender. I am not excluding Lia Thomas. All of them.
Yeah.
And because it's not handled properly for her, it's the same thing. It's not in favor of Lia Thomas. It's not in favor of any other one. It is damaging to all involved.
Yeah. Because I hadn't even thought about that. I mean, because there is real censorship going on, and they've told some of the athletes, don't talk about it on social media. Don't let your feelings be known. Don't let, and if you do put your stuff out there, you're getting a lot of hate from other groups. And kids can't really, I can imagine being a young girl that is really, I've heard these young ladies are crying, breaking down emotionally. The girl that got left out of the final because Lia got in it is now calling for a boycott. And you can't blame her, but she's going to get roasted by a lot of people for calling for that boycott. She's going to have to deal with that. And that's not fair either.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. The repercussion that is going to fall down from this, because NC2A is just kind of,
the adults failed us again.
Okay, hold on. Let's just turn around. We don't want to touch this. We're too afraid to touch this.
Yep.
Maybe if we just let it slide. Now they have not done anything. So now it kind of goes to, what's USA Swimming going to do?
Great point.
What's the IOC going to do? They didn't want to touch it. And somebody needs to stand up. I know that there's been enough letters, petitions. I swim with a master's teammate of mine that graduated from the University of Texas. All the alumni of the University of Texas signed and wrote a letter submitting it to the NC2As. You know, there are a lot of people standing up. And again, I am not here to bash one individual.
I know.
And nobody is writing a letter to bash one individual. What we are asking for, and as I've read comments and talked to people across the board, what we are asking for is to look at this intelligently and by your gender and biologically. That is the smartest way. And I'm not the smartest person in the book, but come on, it's common sense for all involved.
It's pretty simple.
It's fair for Lia Thomas. It's fair for every other swimmer. It's not leaving a swimmer out of the final. You know, it's not leaving a swimmer out of their last chance to swim collegiately and not getting that second swim because it wasn't handled properly.
Right.
And and again, I kind of had this realization the other day as I'm looking at the heat sheet and I'm following it and I'm watching it and I'm watching some and not all because it just doesn't sit well with me. I mean, I've been angry, I've been emotional, I've felt for all of these swimmers. And a comment I see a lot is these other athletes shouldn't get up and race. Just don't step up on the block and race. And here's my point on this. We are athletes. We train. These athletes get up mornings and go swim. They go to school. They have a credit load of just what most college students would have. And then they go swim again. Athletes love to compete. So when you ask these other women, just don't stand up and race. It isn't that simple. These girls want to race. Those girls wanted to race in that 500-yard freestyle on Thursday night, and they did an amazing job. They did awesome, and they showed true sportsmanship. But you cannot put it on these current athletes to ask them not to stand up. If this would have happened 20 years ago, I would have looked my coach Peter straight in the face and said, I will race, and I will race my heart out.
Well, Brooke, listen, I really appreciate you coming on. I know it's not easy to do, and I know it's not easy to put your voice out but I think we all need courage in these times, not only about this, but about other things that are near and dear to our culture here in America and around the world, whatever you believe in. It's not time to be silent.
Absolutely.
It's time to step up and be unafraid, to be compassionate. Don't be hateful in your speech, but stand up for what you believe in. And I think this is an important moment, not just in swimming, but for a lot of different things that are going on in this country right now. We've been silent for far too long. But again, I think the focus needs to be on being compassionate, but being strong in your beliefs. And I think we can get there. We need to.
Right. And I think, and like I said, there is a way that I do believe, and I'm not going to sit here and believe like it's done and that, you know, women's sports is done. I do believe that a conclusion that is right for the majority to look at, there are always going to be, you're never going to please the masses, but I believe that there is a way that most of us could step back at a decision and go, okay, I can live with that.
Yep. And that's it.
But right now, what we're seeing, and is as much as I've put out there in the last couple of weeks, I've not had one person come and try to sway my mind in any other way or try to say, no, you are wrong. This is the way it's supposed to be. Across the board, most comments that I've read are exactly that. There is a way to make this right for all involved. And that's what's not been done yet, but I do believe it can happen.
Well, Brooke, again, thank you so much for taking time out and being courageous in your voice. And we look forward to chatting with you in the future. Thanks, Brooke. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right. Great. Brooke Bennett right there. I mean, what a credible and courageous voice. And again, I think no one needs to be ripping on Lia Thomas. It's a terrible situation in a lot of different ways. It's an awkward situation, but there is a solution. I think we can get there. All right. Our thanks to Bobby the Chief Taylor, Brooke Bennett, obviously. Dan Lucas joined us as well. Bob Harig from Sports Illustrated Golf, Brian Reed. Great show today. If you missed anything, go back and check it out on our app. You can download the app. You can always go to YouTube, subscribe on Apple and Spotify, but also on Twitter and on Facebook. So you can go back and watch and listen anytime. Thanks so much for joining us. Talk to you tomorrow.